Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. The DRFBets race of the day for Thursday, March the 21st, race number 8 at Oaklawn Park. Salty little optional claimer going 6 furlongs. It's a race you can bet with a DRFBets account. Sign up at bets.drf.com. Double your action. Bet 100, get 100 as your sign-up bonus. Let's meet the field for race number 8. This is a very competitive group with a $91,000 purse, and you can access free Formulator Pass performances on the race of the day event page at DRFBets.com. Download them, handicap along with us. We'll take them in post position order, beginning with the morning line favorite, the number 1 Strolling. Matt, this horse beaten favorite last time out, but finished ahead of a couple of next out winners and just seems to be in very good form for this barn.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, nothing wrong with that effort. Most recently, the win 2 starts back, and that $20,000 claimer was in with the waiver tag, so it couldn't be taken. Defeated Touch of Disney pretty comfortably, who's going to be one of the contenders in this race as well. And I also like the fact that this one doesn't have to come from way out of it. Now, he did 2 starts back, but I think part of that was a product of the pace situation in there. I like everything about this horse. Makes plenty of sense, and even at this level, I think he fits.
I think that's really the key. Does he fit at this level? And I kind of agree with you from a speed figure standpoint. He certainly fits. His last race, he just got wired by Nuclear Option. He tried that horse at the quarter pole and finished well clear of the 3rd place finisher, one of the 2 next out winners to exit that race. The number 2 is Touch of Disney, going out for Steve Asmussen and Ricardo Santana Jr. This horse is off the claim, and I find this to be a fascinating claim for Asmussen. This is a 9-year-old gelding, and not only did Steve claim this horse, but he claimed it for himself. He's listed as the owner. This horse has never won on dirt. This barn and this trainer, they know what they're doing, and I have a feeling he must have seen something to claim this old warrior.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Especially like the sort of the big piece there. You see a 9-year-old gelding, and you go, "Wow, how much more can you possibly get out of him?" Especially claiming from Norm McKnight, whose barn just rolls along, whether it's Oaklawn, whether it's Woodbine. And then the fact that he's only run twice on the main track. But I have to admit, there's a part of me that looks at that most recent run, and I wonder if some of it has to do, now look, you didn't know at the time when you claimed him, but you see how the form of that race has come back, and you go, we might have something here. And I think part of that's the reason where I look at it and say that winner last out, 84 buyer next time out as a next out winner, the 3rd place finisher, a 75. From a numbers standpoint, I think you can make the case that Touch of Disney could potentially move forward here. And look, again, at 9-2, I'm not going to sneeze at that.
He's got some back class, a stakes winner all the way back in 2016 over the synthetic at Woodbine. And again, it's really going to be up to a pace situation. We're going to take a look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector for this race. Strolling, the morning line favor, is expected to make the lead. I wonder if that's going to be the case. You would expect John Court to be aggressive, trying to escape from the inside draw without being bottled up or shuffled back entering the turn. I would expect him to be close, and I'm sure Strolling fans would love to have him on the lead. Touch of Disney, though, he might have to pass a few. I think he can be closer to the pace, though, if need be.
No, I agree with that 100%, especially, like you say, it seems like a bit of a muddy pace situation where I understand Timeform has certain individuals, certain horses forwardly placed. I wouldn't be surprised if there might be a few kind of X factors that all of a sudden show some speed, and maybe this thing is a little bit clearer and a little bit more honest than maybe it seems at face value. And look, if it is on the slower side, Touch of Disney, I think he can be a little bit closer if need be.
Touch of Disney, as consistent as the day is long. He's hit the board in his last 9 starts. Here's a formulator fact for Asmussen. Over the past 3 years, with horses off the claim, older horses, age 4 and up, going 3rd off the layoff in dirt sprints, 27% winners, 2.5 ROI. This is a very intriguing horse off the claim, to be sure. The 3 is President-Elect. This horse has finished last in his last 2 races, and that was a pretty live race at Hawthorne most recently. The 4th place horse came back to win 2 in a row, buyers of 72 and 74, but off the recent form, off the layoff, I got to see one from President-Elect.
Also, from a running style standpoint, there is just no speed whatsoever. He's going to be coming from the back of the pack. Very little for me to recommend.
Always a suspect is taking a gigantic drop in class. He was most recently in a $50,000 now winners of 3X optional. He is now in a $20,000 now winners of 1X. That's a double drop, and he was just no match for those horses last time out. 2 starts back was his first race off a long layoff, and he caught a sloppy track. So he might be a little bit dirtied up, taking a giant drop for a barn that wins lots of races.
He was the most difficult one for me to analyze here based on all those things, because it wasn't that long ago this horse was earning buyers in the high 80, low 90 range, And Diodoro's barn, we know how good he does with those types when he claims them. And for this horse to come back as sort of lackluster as he's been, it makes me wonder, okay, does he need the class relief? Probably. But also, is this kind of the for sale sign saying, you know what, I don't know if we're going to be able to cut the mustard anymore? There's just enough here for me to be a little bit too concerned to be super enticed with the 9-2.
Maybe this formulator fact will answer some of those questions for Diodoro. Over the past 3 years, with horses aged 4 and up, making their third start off the layoff in dirt sprints with a 50% tag drop. This horse was in for 50 last time, in for 20 today. 45% winners, big ROI of almost $7 for Always a Suspect, a horse that can be forwardly placed. We're going to move on to Candy Rock, the number 5. This horse tried 2 turns most recently, was on kind of an easy lead and just didn't get it done. Maybe the distance was a little bit too far, but I wonder, I prefer sharper foes than this one right now.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe the turn back in distance is going to be to his benefit, but at the same time, I feel like this one fits in sort of, that level that he won at 3 back, that 12-5 beaten claiming level. I don't know if he's quite this good.
Red Clay Magic popped a co-career best buyer speed figure in his return to his favorite track, that being Oaklawn last time out. It was over a muddy surface and he was able to get to an easy lead. Now, maybe Stuart Elliott's just going to be very aggressive with this horse, stepping up in class, trying to get to the front, knowing that it's perhaps this horse's best chance of winning. And maybe if Red Clay Magic dissuades a couple of others early, he can last for at least a piece.
It was, I had a hard time. Again, you're trying to project forward, looking, seeing what are these horses going to do? How is the pace going to end up shaking down? And I kept coming back to Red Clay Magic, looking at him going, okay, maybe from a class standpoint, a little bit suspect, maybe a little bit lesser than some of these others. But at the same time, that early speed that he brings to the table, I would be very, very content, even if I picked this horse, if I bet this horse, whatever it was. If Stuart Elliott was aggressive and wanted to be forward and have somebody else make a decision, if somebody else wants to go, so be it. But I would like to see this horse be forwardly placed because I do think he's got a puncher's chance.
The number 7 strong side has some attributes. He was good enough to win at Saratoga during the summer of 2018. He's making his first start off the claim away from Diodoro. This is a horse that likes to run second. He has burned some money in his career, but you could also argue he's a little bit dirtied up. He was in over a muddy trip last time out. We note he's 0 for 7 on wet track, seemingly much better on the fast ground, and 2 starts back at Aqueduct. It was a race where he didn't break very well and it proceeded a layoff. Maybe there were some physical issues. Interesting to note that after the claim and after the last 2 races where this horse did not break, they worked him out of the gate and they worked him fast.
Yeah, maybe just trying to get a little bit more of that early energy into him, get him into the run sooner. And like you say, I agree with you. I think he's a little bit on the dirty side here, where you draw a line through the most recent run, draw a line through 2 starts back. You get to that run 3 back, all right, not great. But prior to that, those 2 runs at Belmont Park, those are very, very competitive and would make him a strong player in here. I'm going to be curious to see, like you say, with that gate work most recently, how close is he to the pace early on?
Strong side doesn't seem to like a wet track. Conversely, the 8 Goodwill Ambassador seems to prefer those sort of surfaces. 2 for 3 lifetime on wet, the last 2 wins on wet, and most recently did so at 6 furlongs coming from off the pace. No match for Strolling, 2 starts back in a wet fast race. From a class standpoint, I wonder where he fits exactly.
I think he's a little questionable as far as class is concerned. You brought up the big piece here, though. If it ends up being wet, you need to move the horse up considerably, not only because of that, but because he does have tactical ability. He can be forwardly placed if this pace ends up being moderate.
Toasting Master has a little bit of back class. He ran in the Gotham way back in 2015 and has run some decent buyer speed figures. The last 2 races, a little bit disappointing. 1, okay, he was probably no match for the likes of Hartwood in that King Cotton Stakes, but the connections had to be really disappointing with that most recent run, and they've been ice cold at this meet.
And just overall, you wonder, you come back from a layoff, he's 7 years old, these 2 races in a row, kind of a couple of duds. Now, if he can't get it done here, you got to really start to wonder if we got an issue.
Tres Equis completes the field, the source 4th most recently, but against $10,000 starter allowance foes. It was a decent field for the level. The runner-up coming back to finish 3rd in a restricted stake at Delta Downs with an 84 buyer. The 3rd horse coming back to win at that $10,000 starter level with a 78. Seems more like a 2-turn animal to me.
Yeah, and he just looks a little bit slow right now. Even with some of the other questions that we have for the other runners in here, I just don't know if he quite stacks up.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the 8th race at Oaklawn, your Thursday DRFBets race of the day. You're going with Touch of Disney, and listen, he intrigues me. A 9-year-old off the claim for Steve Asmussen, he's got to see something he likes.
owned by Asmussen as well, like you laid out. That to me was kind of the intriguing piece for a 9-year-old. And you're right, he wasn't quite up to par as far as running with Strolling 2 starts back. But there's a part of me that thinks that, you know what, maybe Asmussen saw something. Maybe we can get a forward move here. And if this pace ends up being a little bit different, maybe there are some horses that want to go with Strolling early. Maybe it helps a horse like Touch of Disney. I think you get every bit of the 9-2 morning line.
I'd like Strolling to be aggressive out of the gate, although it is nice to know that if he isn't fast enough to make the front, he is capable of rallying from just off the pace. I don't really think 2-1's a little light, though. I have a feeling he might drift up just a little bit, especially with the class dropping number 4 in here for Diodoro. But these are really the only 2 horses that I'm interested in using. Strolling's my top pick. Touch of Disney is my second pick. I'm going 1, 2, 8, 4. Give me numbers.
Yeah, I went 2, 4, 1, 6. The 4 is the only other one I'd throw in there. But again, there's those reasons that I laid out that I'm a little bit unsure where I feel about that 4 horse.
Race number 8, a nice one at Oaklawn. Bet it with a DRFBets account. Double your action when you sign up at bets.drf.com. Approximate post time for the 8th at Oaklawn on Thursday, 4:42 Central. Good luck.